Today's story is sponsored by Carolina Pain and Wellness.
So much for watching Living Local. Today I'm chatting with Joan, who has graciously decided to chat with us about some serious issues going on in our community with opioid addiction. And so you're a recovering addict, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'd love to hear your story if you're willing to share it.
Sure. Well, my drug and alcohol problem started a long time ago. I probably used when I was 14 years old,
Wow.
drugs and alcohol. And by the time I was 20, I was a full-blown heroin addict.
Wow.
For about 3 years. And it was a horrific existence. Fortunately, I went in the military,
Okay.
and so it got me off of opioids.
Oh, wow.
I was addicted for probably 3 years to heroin and all the other stuff for probably about 6 before I went in the military. So the military was my first save.
Right.
And but what I continued to do once I got in the military was drink.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, drinking brought me to my knees. So I've been in and out of recovery now for 33 years. My sobriety date today is March 12th, 2014, so I have 7.5 years right now,
Awesome.
clean from drugs and alcohol. But I had 10 years and I relapsed. I always like to say when I talk about my history that relapse is not a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pick up again once you put down. And that's my story. And for me, I had to experience it again because of control. I had not fully surrendered. I had not given myself to the program. And so for 20 years, I dabbled in and out. I had 5 years sobriety. I still dabbled with drugs at that point. I have probably been clean from opioids 35 years.
Wow.
And like I said, I haven't had any alcohol in 7 years this time. But I had 10 years and I picked up again and I went back out for 4 years. And I drank heavily and I smoked pot and I dabbled in pills. And it got just as ugly 25 years later as it was in 1987 when I first came into recovery. I became so lonely, so depressed. I was isolating, and I just said, I got to go back. And when I went back this time, it was so different because I truly knew that I couldn't do this alone.
Well, props to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations for
Thank you.
for doing that and making that choice. Right now, we have a massive opioid crisis in our area. And, for people that are kind of trapped in this and they don't necessarily know what to do, what would you kind of give them as far as advice for recovery?
Well, first thing I would do is recommend a meeting. I'm a big believer in meetings because I believe that meeting makers make it. Like-minded people need to be together. And for you to understand, for you to feel comfortable and figure out what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing.
We've got the rain coming down, so we got real serious here real quick. But, we've got Carolina Pain and Wellness in the area. That is a new, clinic for those that are kind of struggling with opioids. And when we talk about opioids, I mean, these aren't like the homeless people on the side of the road.
No,
a lot
ma'am.
of times. These are your grandma who maybe had a surgery and got addicted to these pills that she didn't even know it was happening, right? These
Absolutely.
are teachers and friends and family members. So, how do you realize that you have a problem?
It's very subtle. It creeps up on you without you even realizing it. And unfortunately, with opioids, a lot of times it takes intervention for somebody to step in, a
Really?
family member. Yes, ma'am, because that's why it lasts so long, because it's a matter of, it crosses over from having fun to needing it, to feel right, to get right, to stop the shakes, to stop the sick feeling.
Well, thank you so much for chatting.
My
and
pleasure.
Sharing your story with me. Dr. Wiseman and his team, at Carolina Pain and Wellness, they're really trying to get out in the community and help folks that are struggling right now. So you are a big part of that with sharing your story to let folks know that they're not alone. There are lots of people dealing with this, and there's nothing wrong with coming forward and getting help, right?
That's right, exactly.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You guys can visit the information on your screen if you'd like to learn more. Thanks so much for watching Living Local.
Today's story is sponsored by Carolina Pain and Wellness.